This Week in High School Sports is sponsored by Red Onion Burgers and Mountlake Terrace. Today I happen to be dining at the restaurant with the owner, Sean Richards. However, Sean, if folks don't want to come in, they can still order. Tell us about Uber Eats.
Yeah, if you don't want to leave your office or your home, then download the Uber Eats app and order online, and Uber will deliver it to you within 15-20 minutes, and it's all ready to go, hot and fresh.
Enjoy the food here if you'd like, or have it delivered to you at home or at work. Red Onion Burgers and Mountlake Terrace. The Edmonds-Woodway soccer teams have a big event coming up at the stadium on June 9th, a fundraiser, and we want to get a lot of people out there to support this. And with us right now, two of the members from that soccer team, Hannah Hicks and Molly Carden. And this is a third-year event. Molly, tell us a little bit about what's going on at Edmonds Stadium on June 9th.
All right, so on June 9th at noon, we are going to have the girls' varsity and the boys' varsity soccer teams playing against each other as a fundraiser that benefits local unified soccer, so a branch of Special Olympics.
A very cool event indeed. And Hannah, this has been going on for a couple years now. Tell us a little bit about the origins of the event and how it got started.
Yeah, so the event started 3 years ago. It was started by two seniors who graduated last year, Kia and Lucas. And it started as a CAST project, which is part of like the IB. It's like a community service almost for IB. And they started the event as their CAST project. And Molly and I joined last year as like for our CAST project as well. And so we're just continuing the event and hoping that it'll continue to go on.
And prosper indeed.
Yeah.
It's been kind of a planned thing in the sense that we're trying to get underclassmen involved with the event every year too, Molly. Last year, I know we worked with you a little bit in promoting it. You were the junior at the time who was going to be taking over for Kia. And now we have another group that's coming on board as well. So is this kind of the intent, is to kind of keep this event going into the future and utilizing some of the younger players?
Definitely. We want the event to carry on after we're gone. So right now we're training 3 juniors to take it over next year. Morgan, Ingrid, and Mackie. And so hopefully next year they'll put on the event and train more juniors so that it can just keep going.
Keep going. And the money is going ultimately for who?
Unified soccer. So it's athletes with and without intellectual disabilities playing together on the same team. And so all the money is going to go towards them and like jerseys and buses and things like that for them.
And this is an Edmonds branch of the...
yes, Edmonds branch.
So
yes.
Tell us a little bit about what type... Because it's not just soccer that these young folks are playing, right? It's other sports as well. And
yeah, so Unified Soccer is a branch of Unified Sports, which does other sports such as like bowling or basketball, and I believe they do track as well. So you can get involved with any of these sports, and our money is going to be specifically benefiting Unified Soccer, as it's a benefit soccer game. But we're also promoting getting involved in any of those sports.
And so they're always looking for volunteers as well, correct?
Yes, exactly.
So we want to get people involved, and they can go ahead and look online and find Edmonds Unified Sports to find out more details in terms of that. Hannah, how competitive is the game?
It gets pretty competitive. Definitely, I think it's something we want to try to prove ourselves, and it's a lot of fun. But yeah, I think it gets pretty competitive, and
we want to prove who's better.
Yeah.
And two soccer teams that have had a lot of success on the field the last few years.
Exactly.
I know 2 years ago, the boys defeated the girls, shut them out, right? We changed the rules a little bit last year, correct?
Yes. Now at halftime we mix the teams, so it's a little harder to tell who wins.
Yeah.
So boys versus girls the first half, and then it becomes a co-ed team of sorts.
Exactly. Which actually fits because Unified Soccer is co-ed.
So we're unifying everybody. I like that.
Yes, we're unifying everybody.
And what's going to happen at halftime, Molly? I know there's a few activities planned.
Yes, so at halftime we're going to have a couple speakers from Special Olympics, and Hannah and myself will be talking. And also we're going to have a small-sided game with the Unified Soccer team coming out and playing, and hopefully a performance from Unified Cheer as well. So that should be really fun and just really help our audience see where the money is going.
So we got boys and girls soccer teams from both Edmonds-Woodway programs. We've got Unified Soccer, Unified Cheer, speakers,
yes.
a lot going on. And for a minimal cost, really, what are we looking at if people want to get in?
So the cost is $3 with ASB and $5 without, and we're accepting donations as well at the gate.
So all the money going for the cause, no matter what you're paying. So we certainly hope to bring a lot in. And the concession stands will be open, so we're treating this like a normal sporting event, right?
Yes, exactly. The concession stands guy, he offered to open it up, and he's actually going to be donating 10% of proceeds from that, so we're really grateful for that as well.
So fingers crossed that the weather's nice. Again, it's Saturday, it's June, it's a short period of time, just a normal soccer period for that matter. Noon start time again. And we should also mention that sponsors are still welcome as well, right? So if anybody wants to get involved, they can contact the school and no doubt find out more
contact
information.
the athletic director at our school if you're interested in sponsoring the game. We already have Walnut Street Coffee on board, so if anyone else would like to, that would be really amazing.
You'll be getting involved for a great cause and having a lot of fun in the process too. So June 9th, Edmonds Stadium is the place to be. Hannah, Molly, thank you for doing this, and best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Welcome to This Week in High School Sports. Teresa Whipple here with Steve Willits, and we have such exciting news this week.
We've got a lot of exciting news this week. It's been a banner week for a number of our teams. No pun intended, because a couple of them are putting up banners, and a few other athletes and teams are getting close to putting things up. We're going to start off by talking about a couple of teams that won academic state championships this week. Big deal here. The Linwood golf team, the girls golf team, wins the state championship for highest GPA among team members. So congratulations to the Royals. And the Mountlake Terrace baseball team, their boys won the 2A state championship for academics, and that just got their week rolling. Their week gets better and better as it keeps progressing here. The team then went out over the weekend and won both of their state playoff games, which means for the first time ever, the Mountlake Terrace Hawks have advanced to the semifinals of the state baseball tournament. That's the 2A baseball tournament. They picked up wins this week over Port Angeles 5-2 and Highline 3-0. So two great pitching performances by Tanner Bowe and Kendall Yackley. Matter of fact, we're going to give a shirt to Tanner Bowe. We haven't given him a lot of love yet on the show this year. He's pitched an outstanding season, as Kendall, but Kendall's been on the show. So we're going to feature Tanner on this one. He pitched 5 shutout innings against Port Angeles in their victory to get them to the quarterfinals. And then Kendall Yackley threw a 3-hit shutout against Highline. And consequently, they're moving on to the state tournament, which takes place over in Yakima starting on Friday. So we wish the Hawks well over there. Another baseball team that also had similar results, Edmonds-Woodway Warriors. Second year in a row. I don't think there were huge expectations for them coming into the tournament this year. They go out and they knock off Mercer Island 6-3 on Saturday. A Mercer Island team that I think was ranked number 1 in the state in a number of polls. We want to mention Jalil Marinez by name too. He had a three-run double, bases loaded double with 2 outs in the 9th inning. They were in extra innings at that point. So they get the victory over Mercer Island, and then they defeat Capital in the quarterfinal game. So Edmonds-Woodway heads over to Pasco next weekend. Friday they play Kelso at 7 p.m. If they win that game, they play Southridge. The winner of the Eastside Catholic Southridge game in the championship game, which would be 7 p.m. on Saturday. So 2 of our baseball teams making it into the Final Four of baseball this year. So really big happenings here. 2 state championship teams academic, 2 baseball teams in the semifinals, a softball team, Edmonds-Woodway girls, making it back to the state tournament. They got through into their district play and they made it to the district championship game. And made it rather easily in one regard. They won their opening round game over Arlington 22-2.
Jeez.
And then they knocked off Everett in the semifinal game, which actually qualified them for state 4-3. And in this game, we're going to reward another Action Jackson Plumbing player of the game, is Sierra Ortiz, who was just in studio last week. She hits a home run early in that game, and then she gets the final out of the game. Bases loaded, tying run at third base, grounder to shortstop, and she tags the runner going across the diamond there, which is kind of a gutsy move to begin with. If you miss that, you're in trouble. So Sierra, we're going to give you an Action Jackson Plumbing shirt. The girls did lose the district championship game to Snohomish, but at that point, they'd already qualified. So Edmonds-Woodway softball team also heading down to a state tournament. They'll be down in Lacey next weekend.
Wow, so much. It's just amazing. And congratulations to all those teams. And there's more, as we say.
There is more. Tennis. We've got a few different athletes that are moving on this week. And we're going to get back to Edmonds-Woodway again. They seem to be doing pretty well right now. 2 of their tennis players qualified for the doubles state tournament coming up in Kennewick this weekend. So congratulations to Haley Reinfeldt and Alexi Huffman for qualifying for that particular championship match, or that tournament. And then we've got a freshman we need to talk about from Mountlake Terrace, Annie Hoang, undefeated on the year. She has been outstanding, already one of the top players in the state, only a freshman. So we thought we better get her in here and talk about her tennis career, her short career at that so far, and her upcoming week as she is heading over to the University of Washington on Friday, early in the morning, to play in that state tournament. Here's the interview we did with Annie. Another sport that has state championship finals coming up this weekend is tennis. And with us right now, a freshman at Mountlake Terrace who not only is qualified for the state tournament, She's undefeated on the year, including wins at the sub-district and district championships. Annie Hoang is with us. Annie, as a freshman, we don't generally expect a whole lot from tennis players, and yet here we are and you're undefeated. I guess the first question for me is, what did you expect coming into the season this year? Coming into a new school with older students, did you think you'd have this kind of success early?
Well, I didn't think it'd be like undefeated, but like I thought I'd do like okay. But like playing with older people was like intimidating, I guess.
Had you played with older players in the past, or?
Not really, just like people like around my age, maybe like 1 year difference.
Did you have that moment in the season where, or maybe it was early in the season, where you kind of thought to yourself, I can play with the juniors and seniors. I'm good enough at this level.
Yeah, after the first few matches of the season, I was doing pretty good, so I was like, okay, I think I can do this.
And did you know much about the Wesco players when you came in this year? Because there are a number of really good players around the area. Had you heard of them? Had you seen them play, or was it all relatively new?
I didn't really know of any of the players, but some of the girls on my team like had some info on them, so.
So they were able to kind of share that with you as you went along?
Yeah.
How supportive is the team? I know it's a team that maybe hasn't had as much success overall as they would have liked this year, but certainly with you being the number one player and doing what you're doing, are they supportive of you, or is it a fun team to play on?
Yeah, they're really nice and fun, and they're really supportive. They'd go all the way up to Granite Falls for me and come back really late, and yeah.
Yeah, we should mention the sub-district and the district championships were up at Granite Falls, so not exactly right down the street for them either.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat. And as far as Coach Alberto and the rest of the coaching staff, how's that been for you?
We do a lot of conditioning and drills, but like it really pays off when like we have harder matches.
Yeah, it's certainly paying off right now. That is for sure. What is your tennis background? I mean, obviously, I was going to ask if you've played for a long time, but you're young. You haven't been around for a really long time. Did you start playing at a really young age?
Yeah, I started playing when I was around 6, but it wasn't really like competitive until like later on.
And your dad got you into the sport, right?
Yeah.
So you and Dad still practice together a lot, is that right?
Yeah, we still play together a lot.
Is it kind of a fun way for you two to bond and to get closer as well? And
Yeah.
now, are you able to beat Dad at this point, or how does that work? Do you play competitively with him?
I think I'm there.
You're there now? You finally got there, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of times when we talk to tennis players, they tend to play outside of school as well. Are you playing for any clubs or anybody else right now?
I play for this team in Bellevue. I've been playing for them for like 1 or 2 years, and yeah, they're pretty good.
A lot of good players from around the Kingco and Bellevue areas.
Yeah.
And I've got to think that makes you better too, right, when you're playing against good competition like that.
Yeah.
Now, so Mountlake Terrace is in a 3A conference, but you play 2A at the state level and also for districts. So when you were playing through your sub-district and your district tournaments, you were playing against girls you'd never seen before, right? So what was that experience like? Do you enjoy that, or would you rather kind of know your opponent a little bit more?
I mean, I think that was a good thing because like it like prepares me for like later on. But like yeah, I knew like some info on the girls that I played with during season, but I could also like get something new and like more experience from playing with different players.
And we should note too, you had a very interesting path through both of those tournaments. Undefeated again, she hasn't lost yet this year, but both in the sub-districts and the districts, your first 2 matches, you put up the double bagel, right? Yeah. Term that we know from when you defeat somebody 6-love. And then you ran into Luciana Sobrino from Liberty both times in the championship. And interesting matches in that she won the first set both times, and then you had to come back and win the second and third sets. You don't lose very many sets this year. So what was that experience like? Talk about the first time when you beat her in the sub-districts. You lose 6-7, so a really close one. Is it hard to kind of regroup and come back after that, or were you still feeling pretty good?
Well, for the first set, I was like, oh, that's pretty close. I think I could like up my game a little bit and win the second set, so yeah.
And you came back and you got her 6-3, 6-3. And then the next week, a little bit different.
Yeah.
You come out and you lose the first set 6-love. So you got shut out, which is almost unheard of. Talk about the mindset at that point and trying to get ready to play set number 2. Were you more nervous at that time, or did you maybe have a little more confidence because you had beaten her the week before?
Well, it was more nerve-wracking for me since I was also like starting off down in the second set, but I just had to like recompose myself and like relax.
And that we should mention too, Miss Sobrino also qualifying for state. There's eight tennis players left, so perhaps you might see her this week too. Big week coming up for you starting Friday morning. Again, only 8 tennis players left for the state championships. And you're playing over at the Nordstrom Center, which is at the University of Washington. Have you played there before?
Yeah, I've played there before for like some team events.
Uh-huh. Is it a fun place to play, or does it help that you're familiar with it, so maybe it won't be as overwhelming? Or
Yeah, I like that it's indoor because like my team usually practices indoor a lot, so I guess I'm like used to it.
don't have to worry about the weather elements or anything like
Yeah.
that. And we should mention too, really for the state tournament. I mean, obviously, other than Luciana, you really don't know who's going to be there, right? So the brackets haven't come out yet at this point. So kind of the element of surprise. We do know that you're number 1 ranked, so in theory, you should get a little bit easier opponent. But really, at the state level, there's really no easy opponents, is there?
Yeah.
And you might even be playing as early as 8 a.m. on Friday morning. Do you like the morning hours, or would you rather play later on?
I'd say I'd play better during afternoon and night hours because like I'm just kind of more up, you know.
So we know Friday morning, and then possibly Friday afternoon if you win, and then the championship would be on Saturday. Have you started to kind of let your mind wander a little bit and think about what it would be like to win, or do you try to really just focus on one event at a time?
I just kind of focus on one event at a time, yeah.
I mean, is it more, do you think you're going to be more nervous at state, or a lot of tennis players, or a lot of athletes for that matter, they get more nervous for big events, and some others are just kind of even keel. Are you somebody that gets really nervous before a big tennis match, or do you?
Well, I get pretty nervous, and like especially like this is state, so like yeah, it's nervous.
So do you have any pre-match rituals or anything you do? Do you have any exercises? Do you listen to music? What do you normally do before a big match?
I listen to music and like I just like do stretches to like warm myself up. Yeah.
Kind of keep yourself relaxed. Music that kind of pumps you up, or kind of keeps you relaxed?
It keeps me more relaxed, I think.
So it's been a good strategy so far. And I should ask you too, you're only a freshman, so you've got a lot of time left, but the fact that you're having so much success, have you thought a little bit about maybe what you'd like to do with tennis in the future? Is perhaps playing at the college level?
Yeah, I want to play for college, possibly UCLA.
Okay, so you've already even started thinking about the schools a little bit
Yeah.
too. You got 3 years to figure that out, but nonetheless, it's been a great season so far. We should mention Mom and Dad are going to be there supporting you on. How important is that to have a good cheer squad at an event like that too?
You know, when like you make a good shot and you hear them be like, "Oh, good shot, you got it!" Like it like makes you feel better. Yeah.
Well, especially since Friday 8 a.m., a lot of your teammates are going to be in school still too, right? So
Yeah.
have a little supporting cast won't be a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we should mention too, we deservedly so, Annie was one of our previous recipients of our Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week Award. So for all your success this year, we're going to give you a shirt.
Thank
So
you.
enjoy that. And we hope that's the, as much as we love Action Jackson Plumbing, we certainly hope that you're going to have a much bigger prize later on this week. As, Again, Annie is heading off to the state tournament to see what she can do and possibly win a trophy on Saturday. Annie, thank you very much for coming
Thank
in.
you.
And best of luck this year.
Thank you.
A real accomplishment for a freshman, and it's great to see her parents are very involved too.
Yeah, and you know the high school tennis game fairly well. To
Yeah.
have a freshman have that kind of success, not easy at all. And a tough Wesco league. She's done very well so far.
Yeah.
And no doubt we expect big things from her, not only this weekend, but into the future.
Yeah, and we did find out that when we checked the brackets for the WIAA, that there are actually 16 players that start out rather than 8, and she'll be facing Anna Bronkel from North Kitsap in her first match on Friday. So we'll have more results from that the next time we are together.
We just already expect her into the quarterfinals.
Yeah,
This is
right.
where we were going, right? So we'll see. Hopefully we didn't jinx her, but yeah, no, that'll be fun to see. And again, Friday morning, so bright and early.
Yeah.
Perhaps the shorter commute from Mountlake Terrace to University of Washington will be more favorable than North Kitsap to the University of Washington. So we'll see how that plays out.
That's right. Okay, and now we can talk about track, yes?
Track, they just had their district championships over the weekend and state championships taking place down in Tacoma. I guess, for 4 different days. I think they start on Wednesday and go all the way through Saturday. We brought in 2 veteran athletes from Edmonds-Woodway who we've had on the show in the past who have done extremely well in their careers there, and 2 athletes that we've enjoyed interviewing over the last couple of years. Hannah Hicks from the girls' side of things and Aaron Richardson from the boys' team. Here's the interview we did with both of them for the Warriors. The track and field state championships are coming up this weekend, and with us right now, 2 of the members from the Edmonds-Woodway track and field team. 2 veterans to the interview process here. We've had them both on the show before, Hannah Hicks and Aaron Richardson. First of all, congratulations on getting back to state again this year for both of you.
Thank you.
And before we talk about the upcoming week, I want to go back and reflect on this season so far. Hannah, we'll start with you. I know you're doing a lot of the long jump and high jump events. How have you felt about the 2018 year, and how has it gone for you?
It was definitely a little bit difficult in the beginning. I wasn't jumping as well, especially in the long jump, as I had hoped. And I was kind of getting into my head, but definitely recently, especially ESDs, I started kind of getting back into the groove of things, and I've been jumping a lot better. Same with high jump. I don't practice that one a lot, but I've been jumping pretty great, and yeah.
You talk about getting into your own head. How much of it is psychological when you're doing jumping events?
A lot of it is psychological. It's definitely a big part of just trying to make sure that you've got your form down, and just confidence levels, knowing that you have that memory of doing the event. Yeah, I would say a lot of it is mental.
So we just had the districts over the weekend. How did you finish at both of those events?
I got second in the long jump, and I got fourth in the high jump.
Okay, and that long jump, freshman got you, right? Over at Snohomish, who's been getting a lot of people this year. So in terms of when you go into a district meet like that, is the goal to qualify for state and to make sure you're ready to go next week? Is it to win? Is it to place? What are you aiming for when you go to an event like that?
For this, it's mostly making sure that I place and that I can get to state, so top 3 this year. I'm not too concerned about who's in front of me, if there is anybody. I'd like to win, and I was definitely a little bit bummed that I didn't, but it's mostly about placing and mostly about making sure that I can get to the next week.
And again, she is moving on to the state championships next week, along with Erin Richardson. Erin, quite the season for you so far. You don't have very many blemishes on the record in the 110 and the hurdles this year. I think you've lost twice all season, and that's regardless of whether it's a local meet or if you're at an invitational. And then I know you're also doing well in the 300. How are you feeling about your season so far?
Man, my season's great. Beginning, I had a couple injuries, so being where I'm at right now is really great. And I mean, the 2 losses that I had, they're against 2 competitors that I've raced against before. So I mean, it's all friendly and fun. And I lost by 0.04 at Easton, which last year I think I got 17th overall. So getting back to these big meets and being able to perform as well as I did is huge for me. And where I'm at right now is better than what I could have imagined at the beginning of the season, especially starting off with pretty serious injuries, an ankle sprain and then a hamstring injury midway through the season. So, I mean, my 110s are going great, my 300s are going great. I want to get a little better. I'm pretty close to the school record in the 300s, so I want to get there. But competition has been fun, definitely stronger and faster this year. So I'm excited to see what happens at state and what I'm able to do.
And your weekend, as far as your events, how did they go?
Districts, I got first in the 110, and in the 300s, I got third by 0.01. Second, third, and fourth were all 0.01 within each other, so it was a really, really tight race. But fortunately, all 4 of us made it to state, actually, because 4th place made the auto qualifier for state.
Very good. And as far as dealing with an injury in track, because the season is relatively short when you start to think about the process of coming back from an injury and the time that it takes to fully recover and to recoup, how have you been able to manage that? Is it something were you sitting out completely for a while? Were you just kind of running gingerly? Obviously, as time starts to tick and you get closer to May, it's got to be tough sitting on the sideline knowing that you're not fully healthy, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I don't want to say... It's fortunate when my injuries occurred, actually. But my first injury was I sprained my ankle on the very first day of track running on the turf. I just went from the track to the turf and twisted my ankle. So I was out for the first 2 weeks, but there was no meets then. Then I had tweaked my hamstring, but that was right before spring break. So I was able to sit out then without missing too many meets. I think I missed 2 meets. 1 week before and then 1 week after spring break. So I was able to sit that 3 weeks and come back healthy, and then now I'm able to just run and focus on that, and I kind of just got to push myself past injury. I mean, this is the last chance. It's our senior year, so
it's all on the line right now, right? It's now or never, basically. As far as the team accomplishments this year, I know it was a big deal last year. I think the girls obviously had a lot of success as a team, but the guys, I know, tied for the Edmonds School District Championship last year, and that's a trophy you guys like to keep your hands tightly on every year. You both won that this year for the boys and the girls. How are we feeling about it as an overall team right now, Hannah? How's the team looking?
The team is definitely looking very, very strong. We've got a good group coming back to state, getting the trophy.
team,
The trophy again this year was really exciting, and being able to just have it again. I think we did get the West Coast. We got close in West Coast and close in Districts too, which was also really, really exciting, and
there's always top-notch teams in there
a
too.
great accomplishment. I think definitely coming back from last year.
Do we know roughly, I don't expect an exact number, but how many boys and how many girls are heading down to state next week?
13 of us?
13
I think
altogether?
there's 13
total.
of us, yeah.
Annie, tell me a little bit about some of the better performances we've seen so far this year. I know, obviously, have to start off with Yuki Parle, right? I mean, in terms of what she's been able to do. She won the 1600 and the 3200 again this weekend. Do you get a chance when you're down there, Aaron, maybe I'll ask you this question. When you're down there, do you get a chance to watch a lot of the other athletes? Because obviously where the hurdle action is taking place is different than where Hannah's doing the long jump or the high jump and vice versa. Do you try to keep an eye on what your teammates are doing?
Yeah, I try to watch the running more. Sorry, Hannah, but the running more because I know what it's like to be a runner, and it's a little different because the field events tend to be pretty far from the track, so a lot of times I don't get to watch them. But I always talk with their coaches after their events and ask how our athletes do and how they did, and it would be fun to be able to watch them, but it's kind of hard to watch them and stay in your zone and being able to race your race with watching somebody who's across the track or doing a different event.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, and there's so much going on too. Sensory overload, really, Hannah, with hundreds of athletes around. Is it hard not to get caught up in everything sometimes? Or?
Sometimes, yeah. Especially if you're just kind of sitting around and you're waiting to get called up. There's times where you see your teammate go by and you want to cheer them on, but you've got to be courteous of those people who are jumping and make sure you're not distracting them as well. But yeah.
It's a good distraction anyway.
Yeah.
So we know that the two of you, obviously, no surprises here that you're both going back. We know Yuki's going back. Any athletes maybe in particular off the top of your head, one or two that maybe have outperformed what we expected them this year? In a good way, right? I mean, any nice surprises this year?
Cameron Eck is going in the high jump, which is not his usual event. He's a long jumper and a triple jumper, so that was pretty cool to see him go for high jump as well. Yeah.
And did he get a little help along the way? Is that what I heard?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, from a former jumper, Grant Whitcutt, who has, pretty sure he has our high jump record at the school. So when Cameron decided he wanted to do the high jump at Edmonds School District Championships out of nowhere, he called up Grant and asked him for some tips and advice for jumping, and I guess what he gave him worked.
It paid off. He's going.
Yeah.
So what are the goals this weekend? Is it more about distance for you, Hannah? Is it where you're going to place? What have you done in the past, and what do you hope to do this weekend?
In the past, it's more about placing, I think, or it's more about getting placing, but also getting good jumps. I think differently, this next coming meet will be more about placement. I still do want to hopefully jump far, hopefully get low 18s is what I'm hoping for, but it's more about placing this meet, I think.
So your sophomore year, you were 9th in the high jump at state. Your junior year, you were 7th in the long jump at state. So we're hoping to improve on both of those, right?
Oh, hopefully, if I do high jump, yeah, but mostly long jump, yeah.
Okay, and we did note earlier too that your long jump this year so far has been 17:11, which again is a school record. Yes. If you had done that at state last year, you would have finished in second place. So do you start to kind of watch what other athletes are doing?
Not too much. I try to mainly focus on what I'm doing. If I do happen to see a girl jump, I'll check in on her score, but it's mostly about what I'm doing, competing against mostly myself. But probably a little bit more competing against other people.
You both are far more disciplined than I am. I'd be all over the internet looking because Aaron, the stats are there nowadays, right? You can go on athletic.net and pretty much find out where you rank in the state at any time. And I would think you would just be itching to do that. You said you've done a nice job of staying away from that as well, right?
Yeah, it's really easy to get distracted by other athletes when you're sitting there looking at times, because when you look at other people's times, when you're in the blocks next to that person, you're just looking at his time, you're thinking, oh, is he going to run his race today? Is he going to be that fast today? Is he going to be slower today? But track is super important on focusing on yourself and making sure you're running your race. And if you're focusing on other people, you're not going to run your race. So personally, I stay off of athletic.net. It's just a superstition of mine, and it's just something better for me. It's just to stay away from that and not bask in other people's accomplishments, but rather try to get more accomplishments for me.
Well, we can reveal one thing because Aaron does in fact know this, but your time seems to be in the top 3 this year anyway at that level. So
I've been told. Yes.
So we've been told. So we think he's got a shot at maybe doing very well at state in the 110 meter hurdles. An event that has kind of eluded you the last couple of years at state. It hasn't been your best of times, right, so to speak?
Well, yeah, it's been a rough couple of years at state for me for the 110s, and I think it goes back to that aspect of staying in your zone. The state meet is like no other meet that we compete in, so it's a huge event, and nothing can really prepare you for that. So I mean, I'm gonna blame my sophomore year on just adapting to that environment and getting used to it. And last year, I'm gonna blame it on the same thing, but this year,
Well, last year you hit the last hurdle, correct? Is that what happened?
yeah. Actually, it's nobody can figure out how I felt last year because I didn't even hit the hurdle. It was the trail leg coming through. I guess I overextended and landed on the plastic on my spike. So when I landed on the plastic on the spike, it kind of just slipped and my leg just came from under me and I fell. So I mean, I had pretty much finished the race and fell at the finish line, and ended up not placing there. My sophomore year, sorry, I hit too many hurdles, and they said I did not make an effort to clear the hurdles, so they disqualified me then. So this year, I'm hoping, my composure is a lot better this year. I've been able to compete at these higher level meets. So I'm excited to see where this year takes me at state.
We are too. We think no doubt you'll do much better this year at the 110, and hopefully, like I said, be standing on that podium at the end. Both of you, for that matter. When do you go down? I guess I should ask you that too, because when do your events start, and do you go down the day of, or do you go down the day before? Right?
Thursday.
Mount Tahoma High School, correct?
Yeah, Thursday. For the past 2 years, the 110s have been on the first day, which is kind of sucks. I mean, I'd rather want to adapt to the area, but so probably the first day, yeah, I'll be competing in the 110s, which we go down Thursday morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll be
Same,
doing that
same for the
I
jumping
think,
events too? or is
that,
it-
I think that long jump got moved from Saturday to Friday,
Okay.
but I'm not completely sure. So I think I'm competing on Friday.
So again, down at Mount Tahoma High School, a fun event to attend too. So certainly if anybody has a free weekend and you want to get down there, the best of the best in the entire state, not only these two, but others as well. So we'll certainly be following them, and no doubt whatever you accomplish and whatever you're able to do, we will be reporting it on myedmondsnews.com. And one last question too for you, since we've had a chance to interview both of you over the last couple of years. Now that we're getting ready to lose you to graduation, where are we heading off to next year?
Sorry.
Yeah,
Okay.
you go ahead.
Well, I'm going to Montana State University. I'm hoping to walk on for the track team because they don't have a school soccer team. So I'm hoping to do that. Yeah.
Okay, and then Aaron, what about you?
I'll be running the hurdles at Concordia University, Irvine.
So you're both staying with track then. I know Hannah's an outstanding soccer player. We've talked about her in the goal a few times in the past, and Aaron with football. And neither one of you are going to a school that offers either of those sports,
Yeah.
so no temptation there, right?
Yeah, well, sadly, but I mean, I wish I could play football as well, but I think it's better that I don't. I'll stay healthier, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Montana State does have an intramural team, so I could do that as well. But
So you might still be playing a
yeah,
little bit.
a little bit.
But for the time being, they're going to be down trying to see what they can accomplish at the state track and field meet. Again, Mount Tahoma High School this weekend. Aaron Richardson, Hannah Hicks, thank you both very much for coming in, and best of luck.
Thanks for having us.
Well, lots of options for people for where they can go watch championships this week.
Yeah, and a lot of it's going to be determined on Friday, so keep an eye on how things are going. But on Saturday, certainly you've got track and field down in Tacoma, Mountlake Terrace playing baseball in Yakima, Edmonds-Woodway in Pasco, Edmonds-Woodway softball in Lacey. We've got golf this week, too. We didn't even mention that yet. Boys and girls 3A championships taking place on Tuesday and Wednesday in Spokane. So certainly if you want to put some mileage on the car and you want to support local athletes, this is the week to do it.
That's right.
Stay tuned.
Okay. And we'll have all the results for you next week. And for all those athletes who are going to state, be proud, because it is not an easy road to get there, and you're one of the few who has made it. And we will see you next week.